Hello and welcome everyone. Hello Alejandra, Ainde, Brady, Carrie, James, Jane, Gerald, Kevin, Lonnie, Marilyn. This is great. Look at all you fun people here. Welcome, welcome. Mark, Mike, Paying, Sarita, Shashank. This is a webinar, so while you won't be able to speak, please feel free to chat as well. Type in your interest areas or where you live or anything else that you'd like for us to know as well as you join the webinar. Right, Christine, John, we're ready whenever you want to get started.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll give it just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. We had about 50 people registered to participate in this webinar this evening, and we are about 3/5 of the way there. So we'll just give it a minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you everyone for being here. Really looking forward to the engagement this evening.
And while you all are doing that or while we're waiting as well, if you want to type in Kevin, the chat should not have been disabled. Can you try? Can someone else try typing in the chat box to see if you're able to chat, please?
Neely, I think the chat might be on for hosts and panelists and may not be on for the general. But if there are questions related to the plan and the engagement and what you'll be hearing tonight, please feel free to enter it into the Q&A. And as applicable and time allows, we'll do our best to answer that as we move along. So thank you for your patience. There will be lots of opportunity to provide engagement as we move forward in the presentation. And we are about 36 people in attendance, and so I think we're at a good point to go ahead and get started.
All right, good evening. My name is John Marchant. I'm the Community Services Director, and I want to thank all of you for coming out, taking your time to join us tonight. We had a great group of folks for our in-person meeting prior to this, so we had to run from that. It was running a little long, so we had to run down the hall. So again, appreciate you showing up tonight. It shows how much our community really loves our parks and our programming and what we do. And so again, thank you. I want to welcome any dignitaries that are on the line, whether it be council members or Parks and Rec Commission members or members of school district boards of trustees or otherwise. Happy that you are joining us. So tonight we are excited to be kicking off the Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan process. Prior to this process, we have had a recreation plan that is a number of years old. We also have a Parks and Open Space plan that is also coming up on its life cycle. And so what we're doing now is bringing those two plans together into a Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan. And the plan is one of the City Council strategic priorities to enhance Mountain View as a great place to live that values community health and wellness. So before I introduce the project team, I do need to thank the team that we have behind the scenes community services staff. It's a great team of talented folks, including Christine Crosby, Tim Youngberg, and many others to make all of this happen. So a big thanks to them. I also want to take a moment and highlight that we opened Pyramid Park last fall, which adds an estimated 2.75 acres to our open space in the city. We will be opening Fayette Park very soon. We'll be finishing construction soon. And we're also in the design phase for 2 more parks, and one is on Evelyn and one is on Villa Street. In addition to those parks coming up, we've also purchased property, including one on Thompson Avenue in the Mauna Loma area, and property in San Rafael, on San Rafael Avenue in the Sylvandale neighborhood, as future park sites. And we will continue to look for opportunities to expand our park system as they become available. And to build on that momentum, the completion of the Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan will help us plan for the next 10+ years in relation to future parks, open space, trails, recreation programming, and facilities in the city. So we want you to be engaged throughout the process so that we can hear what is important to our community, so that we can respond appropriately. This plan will be shaped with public input at many different touch points, and it will be guided through the lens of equity. This includes working toward equitable access to parks and open space, inclusive parks and programs, and much, much more that our team will be talking about in just a moment. We've learned a lot over the past few years. During and since the pandemic, we have seen how parks are more important than ever to the community and the quality of life. We need more parks and open space, especially in certain areas such as Mauna Loma, Rex Manor, Rangsdorf, and Sylvandale, on top of what we have already purchased. While school open space has helped to meet the need in the past, this too is changing. And so we will change the way that we count our open space. Through this process, we will receive input from our residents and engage with our partner agencies such as the school districts. And our consultant team will help explore what that could look like and provide options to calculate the open space and expand our parks in the city. We also recognize the cost to acquire, design, and construct the open space to meet those needs. So the city will work with our consultant team, who I'll introduce in just a moment, to help identify new funding streams through nexus studies to potential revenue measures and many more. With that, I am very pleased to introduce our consultant team called Next Practice Partners. Next Practice Partners and their team of sub-consultants has completed similar projects locally, across the country, and beyond. They've completed work over 30 cities in California alone, including city of Fremont and their master plan, city of San Diego, city of Chino, and many more. Not only do they work with municipalities and local districts, they do work in the corporate world with Disney. They've been involved with Super Bowl and many others. And me personally, I have seen members of these teams at the National Park and Recreation Conference. They are engaging, they are able to communicate well, and hopefully you feel the same way as I introduce Nilay Bhatt, founder and CEO of Next Practice Partners, and Senior Project Manager Jason Alisade. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nilay. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Hello and welcome, everybody. Just some housekeeping work here. I'm going to have Christine Crosby speak to a couple of things here, and then we will get started.
Hey, thank you, Nilay. We do have interpretation services available this evening in Spanish, Mandarin, and Russian. And so if you are interested in one of those languages, please click on the interpretation button. You should see it on the bottom of your screen. And I will allow our staffers to help interpret that. So Elena.
Thank you. Buenas noches a todos. Quiero dejarles saber que va a haber interpretación en español para esta presentación. Si es que la ocupa, por favor, vaya al inferior de su pantalla y escoja el globo que dice interpretación. y puede escoger español. Gracias.
Thank you, Elena. Ivy?
大家晚上好，欢迎大家参加今天晚上的公园和娱乐战略计划会议。那么我们今天晚上提供实时的中文翻译，您可以点击屏幕下方有一个地球仪图标，可以选择中文来收听这个翻译。如果您有任何问题或者建议，您可以通过 Q&A 的这个点击的这个按钮，可以文字写出您的建议。谢谢。
Thank you, Ivy. And Natasha?
Добрый вечер. Добро пожаловать на собрание, посвященное разработке стратегии планирования парков и зон отдыха Mountain View. Если вам нужен перевод на русский язык, обратите внимание, что внизу у вас есть соответствующая кнопка, и вы нажмите на слово «русский». И я постараюсь вам помочь. Спасибо.
Thank you, Natasha. I will turn on the interpretation services in just a second. Okay, thank you. You should be able to click where you need to go. And again, at any point during this presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A box to put them in there. And if time allows, and if applicable, we will do our best to answer them live or we'll answer them directly. So I will turn it back over to Nile. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, Natasha, spasiba, Ivy, Sheshe, Elena, muchas gracias. Hola, ni hao, privyet, and thank you everybody for joining this first virtual public meeting for the strategic plan as well. Before we get started, I'd like for you to scan this QR code on your phones or go to menti.com and enter in this code 12170425. Please scan the QR code and or go to menti.com and type in these numbers here. We're going to go into the live polling and be able to see, you will be able to see the results in real time. For now, once you get into the polling, you're only going to see a screen that shows a thumbs up. I see a number of you getting in. If you are unable to do so, please ask the question here and we will be happy to help answer and get you logged into the live poll. Okay, fantastic. We see a number of you getting in there as well. That's great. So here's the first question, so we can try and see how you all work on that. You can please respond, which one of the neighborhoods do you reside in? Montaloma and Springer. Already have some responses. I see Moffett and Wisman Road, Grant Road and Sylvan Park. Looks like a lot of them from Montaloma, Farley and Rock Street right now. This is fantastic. We have someone from every single neighborhood that is represented. That is excellent. Give you all a few seconds more for the others to log into menti.com and type in the code 12170425. I see the responses continue to come in. We'll give you all a few seconds more. If anyone still has a difficulty in logging into this, please ask away in the Q&A for help and we'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, go to menti.com and use the code 1217 0425. Okay, last chance, everyone. Going once. Going twice. All right. Let's look at the next few slides here. Okay. So just as a quick agenda, John obviously said the initial welcome and the introductions. We'll talk about the community profile for Mountain View, share the strategic plan process, all the different ways in which you can share input, and just the next steps with this plan. So the very first thing here in terms of who we are as a team, I'm Nilay Bhatt, the founder and CEO of Next Practice Partners. We're based in Indianapolis, and we do this planning all over the country. We're the leaders in inclusive and innovative planning for park systems, and I've done several in California, a number of nationally accredited CAPRA accredited agencies, as well as gold medal winners. We're accompanied by our team members and partners, WRT, who are based in San Francisco, and they are local planners, urban designers, architects as well. We also have a disability inclusion specialist with Merge, and we have a statistically valid survey firm, ETC Institute, that all help complement the team and bring Mountain View and this project the best of local and national expertise across the entire spectrum. Our work includes a number of agencies in and around Mountain View, as well as all over California, from Fremont and Pleasant Hill to San Bernardino and San Diego, Walnut Creek, San Clemente, San Jose, and others. Now, City of Mountain View and this community services department is already a two-time national gold medal finalist. And in keeping with the caliber of this department, we've also worked with other similar high-quality agencies that are national gold medal finalists or winners, ranging from Durango, Colorado, to Oak Park in Illinois, to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission in DC, and others. And the team includes folks, my colleague Jason Elizalde, who helped the Willamette Lane Park and Recreation District win the National Gold Medal, team that's run Target stores to TEDx events, keynoted at the California Park and Rec Society, among others. And so really, as a team, we bring in the best of not only the parks and recreation experience, but also learnings from the very best in the private sector that can be applied to the strategic planning process. So enough about us here. It's back to polling questions and asking for your input. So please get your phones out again, and let's look at these next choices here. A reminder, this is the QR code for anybody joining in right now. Please scan this QR code or go to menti.com and type in the code 1217-0425. Here's your next question. How often do you use parks, trails, open spaces, or recreation facilities in Mountain View? Weekly, monthly, 6 times per year, all the way up to I don't use any parks, trails, open space, or recreation facilities. Looks like the large majority of you so far are weekly, very, very frequent users. That's wonderful. You have a wonderful park system. You have some terrific programs. It's clearly testament of how often you all use it and how much you value it. We'll give you all a few seconds more. The majority still have said weekly, and just a minimal number have said monthly or 6 times per year or less. Okay. All right. I still see results coming in, and more of you keep saying you use it weekly. That is amazing. So, for those of you that use it, this is open-ended. Which park and or open space do you visit most often? You can choose one, you can choose multiple sites. Just type in your responses. Which park and or open space do you use or visit most often? I see a lot of folks saying Montaloma Park, Rengstorff, Eagle Park, Bub and Cuesta, Sylvan and Shoreline. All right, I see the results coming in more and more. Some said Heritage Park, Pyramid, Stevens Creek Trail, Jackson, Baylands Trail, a lot of Montaloma, Eagle, Rengstorff. That's wonderful. 39, 40 plus responses thus far and counting. This is fantastic, you all. Okay. 54 responses and counting. This is great. Keep them coming. Landless Fields, Chetwood, McKelvey, Eagle, Cuesta. All right. Now, how would you rate the quality of these parks, trails, open spaces, recreation facilities, or programs in Mountain View? To the majority saying good so far, with a few saying excellent. If you have said fair. Most have said good thus far. For any of you that chose fair, if you want to share why you chose the response you did, feel free to type that as a statement in the question and answer portion as well, so we can capture that input. We'll give you a little bit more time. How would you rate the quality of parks, trails, open space, recreation facilities, and programs? Most of you have said good. A few have said fair, and a few have said excellent. Okay, we have Kathy Silver speaking to security as one of the reasons why they said fair. That's Rita Patel talks about fair is the lack of restroom facilities for little ones. Thank you both for sharing that as well. Okay, so let's talk about access and travel. Just a yes, no. Do you live within a 10-minute walk to a park, open space, or trail? So far, every one of you except one said yes, they do. All right, almost all of you have said yes. This also includes the schools in this cases. So obviously, almost all of you have said yes so far. So the next option is now excluding a school site. Do you still live within a 10-minute walk to a park, open space, or trail? I see a lot more no's for this one. The response is coming in. Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. How do you travel to your nearest local park and or open space? You walk, bike, drive, ride with a friend? Do you teleport? Or you don't use any parks and or open space in Mountain View? This is wonderful. The majority of you have said walk, followed closely by drive and bike, almost similar. Okay. So this is really helpful. We have a few more questions for you as we go along, but before we get there, just wanted to share a quick highlight of the process with you. Obviously, any strategic plan is meant to be a living, outcome-focused action plan. It's driven by your input, the community's priorities, trends, a focus on equity that John spoke about from the very beginning, as well as resilience. Obviously, long-term capital planning complemented by staffing and operations needs and funding that it requires, and the vision, the mission, and the values of the organization as well. So all these put together, this is a quick sense of the profile of the community. 91% of Mountain View residents currently live within a 10-minute walk of a park, if you include the school sites in this as well. For the demographic overview, to show some population numbers and shifts in the composition, the city boundaries were used along with data from the census, as well as Environmental Systems Research Institute, or ESRI. And that's where you can see from the census data, the city's population continues to grow and is projected to increase in the years to come as well. This certainly indicates a higher level of service that's going to be required from the community services, from a parks and recreation standpoint, that the city and the current and future residents will require. At the same time, the city continues to diversify rapidly from a race and ethnicity standpoint. And you can see from 56% in 2010 down to 27% in 2038, the white-only population, as the census calls it, is projected to reduce, while seeing a corresponding increase from 26% in 2010 to 46% in 2038 of the Asian population, while those that classify as 2 or more races are projected to increase from 5% to almost 16%. Those of Hispanic and Latino ethnicity of any race are projected to marginally reduce over a period of time. From an age standpoint, the population ages marginally. At the same time, the young population will continue to be the single largest chunk. In 2038, about 44% of the population will be under the age of 35, those that make up 0 to 17 or 18 to 34. And the audience, the age segments over the age of 55 will make up 29% of the population. This audience over 55 is very much an active adult population. They don't behave like it. We refuse to call them seniors. But that will necessitate a very intergenerational focus in terms of the kinds of programs and the offerings we have in the future. Obviously, you all probably know this as well. You are a higher than average educated community. You certainly are in position with respect to income levels that are higher than national averages as well as state averages. And you can see the yellow bar is the per capita or the individual income, whereas the blue bars is the median household income, which are both much higher than state averages. Just for comparison, from a demographic standpoint, extremely diverse community where almost 1 out of 2 people speak a language other than English at home, and over 42% of the population is foreign born as well. We also look at national recreation participation trends and specific to Mountain View. 100 is the national average. MPI stands for Market Potential Index. And you can see for almost every sport here, Mountain View is higher than national averages in terms of the potential to participate in different recreation programs, or in this case, sports. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country, but is not currently tracked as a part of this overall sports rankings. I'd be very surprised if perhaps by this time next year, it isn't tracked along with this as well. In addition to that, from a fitness standpoint, every single activity from swimming to Pilates are all higher than national averages to a significant degree. And from an outdoor recreation standpoint, a large number of them, from biking, hiking, rock climbing, etc., are also much higher. Keep in mind, these all don't have to be done in Mountain View. This simply means that the residents of Mountain View like to participate in this activity or are likely to participate in this activity, no matter where they do it. Lastly, from a commercial recreation standpoint, whether it's the arts and culture scene, from museums to galleries to live theater, to other activities from video games to sports and recreation equipment, etc., or attending sporting events, the residents of Mountain View are likely to have a higher than national average participation numbers. So this gives you a sense in terms of a growing population that is diversifying from a race and ethnicity standpoint, that is aging but still very balanced between different age groups, that's educated and is at an income level higher than state and national averages. They love to participate in sports. They are very active from a fitness standpoint and also from an outdoor recreation standpoint, and enjoy a variety of different arts, culture, and commercial recreation opportunities. So with that in mind, as we think of the community, this is our approach in terms of going where people are. And we're doing this in a number of ways, starting first of all with this website that I would love for you all to specifically share and bookmark, imaginemvparks.com. The website is already live. It is available to all of you right now. You can go there and see all these meetings, including today's, tomorrow's and future ones listed. You will see more information as well. And going forward, you have the ability to also watch the meeting recordings, take other polls and surveys through the process. In addition to this opportunity, which is more technology driven, we've promoted this meeting from the website as well as outside in multiple languages. You heard at the beginning of the process, Christine also talked about our interpreters that are live right now as well. So you can actually participate in this meeting in English, Spanish, Mandarin, or Russian as well. And our process is going to be statistically reliable too, through a statistically valid sampling and a survey that's going to be conducted by ETC Institute, which will be mailed to households across the entire city to get information from you all, whether it's barriers to participation, your program or facility priorities, how would you want to spend the money, or what are ways in which the city can communicate with you about what is happening. In addition to that, we will be conducting a program assessment process, which Jason Elisaldi from our team has already kicked off with the Mountain View staff today. The WRT team with Diksha and her team as well will be conducting a park and facilities assessment, visiting every single park in the city, assessing them for a variety of different components, providing a ranking based on the conditions as well, and ensuring that the parks most in need are documented and factored in as we plan capital improvements for the future. All of these will lead to GIS-based equity mapping that shows you for every park and amenity type where in Mountain View are residents being served by a variety of different providers, and based on that as well, where might there be gaps for the city and the department to look at in the future. So this will create a very objective and transparent way to provide access and document where there are gaps and overlaps to maximize equity of access. Ultimately, all this information from your input and the assessment leads to the vision for the future. If you think of the strategic plan, it really is broken down into 3 steps. Where are we today, which the assessments will reveal? Where do you want to go, which you all through your input will share? And how will we get there is where this final piece of the process with the staff and the community's input will be devised. Starting with vision, mission, values, to get a sense from the community as to how this needs to be developed, to prioritization for programs, facilities, parks, and amenities, based on which are the important and the most unmet of your needs, and thus the highest priority. The WRT team will then help from a financial standpoint, break these down into maintenance, renovation, new developments, etc., citywide. And all this ultimately gets into the living, breathing action plan that lets the team and lets you all keep them accountable with how to implement the plan. Ties it back to core values, ties it back to vision, mission, and goals and major outcomes, and ultimately creates this living, breathing document that staff can use to implement for the next several years. This, in a nutshell, is the process. What we want to hear from you all now is what are things you want to see for the future, starting with communication and barriers. So back to the Mentimeter poll. What are the 3 most preferred ways to learn about the City of Mountain View and the Community Services Department? So far, it seems email is the most preferred option, followed by the activity guide and then the website. I see a number of you have also put in monthly newsletter, and a few of you have said social media. For those of you that chose social media, if you can in the Q&A portion, please type in which is your preferred, if there is one or more than one, social medium by which you'd like input. Kathy spoke about Facebook. I see a couple others have spoken about Facebook as well. Okay. See, email is obviously the most frequent, followed by activity guide, the website, and the monthly newsletter. So what are the largest barriers that prevent you from using parks, programs, open spaces, facilities in Mountain View more often? What are the three largest barriers? And if you put in other, please feel free to type in the Q&A as well, what you had in mind for other. A number of you have chosen lack of amenities in parks and centers. If you can also list what the amenities are that are lacking. Additionally, some of you have said, I don't feel safe. If you could please share if there is a park in specific where you don't feel safe, and or what are some things that make you feel unsafe? I see gophers at Cuesta. Okay. Lack of monitoring by ranger and gopher holes. Okay. Others, lack of facilities, specifically pickleball courts in this case. All right. I hear we need more dedicated pickleball courts. Got it. Need more off-leash dog parks. Convert Chetwood Park to off-leash dog park so I don't have to drive to one. All right. Clean bathrooms is another one as well. Thank you for the input. A pickleball court reservation system. Got it. This is great input, everybody. Keep them coming. Oh, wonderful. A playground for teens. That is great. Not enough bike trails to access the parks. Water stations for humans and pets are needed. If anyone looking to go on back on this as well, please type in menti.com. I see convert some Cuesta Park tennis courts to pickleball. Shade covering playground structures. More shades. Serena Wallace talks about agreeing with water stations. Lani talks about safety concerns along Stevens Creek Trail. Dexter +1 on ultimate frisbee areas by an anonymous attendee. Climbing structures, electrical instruments like the new parks in Milpitas. Thank you, Kathy. More tennis courts at Cuesta. We cannot even get a court now. No pickleball there. 2 fenced playground features, cute garden themes, lots of features for every age and interest. No small neighborhood park for gathering in Springer T neighborhood. Rose Garden would be nice. More access points to Stevens Creek Trail and need pickleball courts. This is wonderful, you all. More shaded picnic tables. That's great. The Monte Loma School has become contentious, so I don't feel welcome there. Got it. Let's look at future needs here. What are the 3 facilities that you are most interested in? If you've typed in other and you want to continue sort of typing in what those other might be for you, by all means, please do so. Other is swimming pool facilities. Got it. Is that different from the aquatic features with the pool and splash pad, or is that the same? See, trails and walking paths are the highest so far, followed by open space. A number of you have said other. If you want to please type in what the other is in your case too. If you have any particulars with respect to trails and walking paths or with respect to open space, by all means, please type that as well. Other for me is a neighborhood gathering space like we now have at Monte Loma. Senior center. If we have large pickleball facility, we can organize tournaments. 20+ courts could be a game changer. Need more restrooms. Usable fields, sports and team games are impossible at Cuesta. Have been for years due to whole parked fields with gophers. More pickleball courts. All right. Other is a community kitchen space. See Ashland Community in the East Bay, the Reach Center, and the neighborhood partnerships. Tennis court would be great to install lights on existing courts to extend usage time. Okay. Let's talk programs. What are the top 3 programs you would be most interested to participate in? All right, I see aquatics, followed by fitness and special events and classes, all being very popular. It's wonderful. If you have any specific classes in mind or any specific fitness offerings or teen programs in mind, by all means, please type that in the chat box too. Community yoga for people with low income. More shade trees along pathways and playgrounds would be great. Example, San Verón Park and Sierra Vista Park. Anyone typed in other, please put that as well. Shashank, I see the note on badminton courts, water aerobics and other exercise classes. Dan speaks about more lap swim hours. Linda, computer education classes for seniors in multiple languages. Excellent. A summer movie night. Aqua Trifid via New Wave. Badminton courts. Events. Would like to have small acoustic concerts at local parks. Would be nice to have a little stage like Palo Alto Magical Playground. Sarita talks about another vote for badminton courts. Age diversity, not isolation. Adult programs, not senior. Are there ways to hold and have multi-age programs? Wonderful. Kathy talks about free use of the pool. Kevin, special events equals concerts. Couple of anonymous input, more shade at existing parks would be nice, and a teen volunteer program. These are wonderful ideas, folks. This is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for this continued input. Consider an ice rink, not many left in the South Bay. Community gardening, food access, native plants, pollinators, kitchen spaces for the community to use and reserve. Business incubator, the magical bridge park in Rengstorff that it was supposed to be built last year. Let's look at these. This is where your future priorities. What are the 5 most important improvements you're interested in adding in the next 10 years? Five most important improvements you would like to add in the next 10 years. If you type in other, please share what you have in mind with other. If you typed in build new or existing sports courts, let us know if there's a particular sport whose court you were thinking. See a lot of input for shade structures, a lot for expand and connect the trail system, open and update restrooms, outdoor pool and splash pad. All of these are pretty high. Expanded pickleball facilities, more park space that is open all day and not owned by the school district. Shade structures equal trees. Pickleball courts, you can see how busy the courts are. Build badminton courts at the gym. More tennis courts, please. Improve bike paths to make them safer. Again, usable fields would go a long way to help use at Cuesta by those interested in team sports, soccer, volleyball, frisbee, etc. Like to see the park start planting California native trees and plants to support California native insects and in turn these birds. These would also use less water. More programs for teens for camps, pickleball courts, interconnections of trails and bike paths east, west, and north, south, especially along major highways and expressways. This is fantastic input, everybody. One last question here. If you could rate your satisfaction with the overall value you receive. Some other input that also came in while you do that is expand lap swim hours from what they are now. Safe bike paths for kids. Shashank has his top 5 in order. Shaded picnic food tables, more badminton courts, more and cleaner restrooms, bike paths and security measures, more benches and trails along trails for seniors. Ilani, thank you. Last one here. I see the majority saying they're somewhat satisfied, followed by neutral, and then equal numbers saying very satisfied or somewhat dissatisfied. And a couple of them saying very dissatisfied and I don't know. If you have any particular comments as to why you said very satisfied to very dissatisfied or anything in between, please answer. Shashank says quite satisfied. Anonymous, not satisfied as there is only one pickleball court with very poor net. Need to go to Palo Alto, Los Altos, and Sunnyvale. Any others? If you have any other comments to add for why you rated the way you did. Okay, so this is just the beginning of the engagement process with the community. As I referenced at the beginning, we will have, based on all the input we hear from you, a statistically reliable community input survey. Because it is random and it is anonymous, we have no guarantee who's going to get it. If all of you have registered for this and signed on, the staff have your email addresses. They will be informing you of all future meetings, as well as when the surveys are live. The online community survey on imaginemvparks.com, you will be notified when that is live. We will have pop-ups. There'll be special event and surveys at different special events. And we will come back to present the findings to you all, as well as later in the process, present the draft input and recommendations as well. So those are some of the ways just in the upcoming months that we will be doing this. Also, tomorrow's meeting will be identical in terms of the format as well as the questions. If you attended today, you don't have to attend tomorrow, but you are always welcome. If you know other folks that are going to be there or couldn't make it today, please let them know to attend, whether it's in person at 6 p.m. tomorrow, or it's virtually like this at 7:15 p.m. tomorrow as well. Please ask them to join in too at that time. We have a couple of questions here as we look into this as well. John, if you want to type or answer, any of the staff as well. And also a comment, new structure should be covered by shade, preferably trees, and that materials are not toxic or reused from existing materials. Thank you for that. All right, so with that, we'll wait for a moment here as we respond to the question on the planning program for the Cuesta Annex and what happened to that as well. In terms of the question for how will this impact decisions about the Montaloma Park, I'm going to have staff respond to that question here as well. And as they type into that too, we will obviously be documenting the inventory of all that currently exists and also a level of service, including as well as without the school sites as well, to get a better sense of access to the community, levels of service based on current and future populations, to understand gaps and overlaps. Okay. Want to thank you all for your time as well. I know John is typing in a final question for Fayette Park. Ready? John, if you want to just directly unmute and speak to it, you can certainly do so.
The question I'm responding to right now is, when can we expect Fayette Park to be open? So Fayette Park is very close to being done. Continue to follow us on our website. We'll be providing updates and you'll see signs out front in advance. So we are getting close. We're waiting for a few items to be delivered. So thank you.
And John, the last one, if you want to speak to that as well. Alan, thank you for the input earlier as well and for participating. Please help us spread the word. We appreciate that very much.
And Nile, I do have a question here, which is Mauna Loma is supposed to have a park created on Thompson Avenue, but there are 2 houses on that lot. One which is being remodeled. What is going on with that park? And yes, we have purchased the home that is somewhat behind the house that's under construction. We have put that project in the 5-year capital improvement project schedule. Doesn't mean it's going to be 5 years away. It's just the way that we track projects. And so as we have funding available and schedules within staffing availability, we will be working on that. And again, we will certainly reach out to the community to be part of the design process. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all again for the time and the input. Please do go to imaginemvparks.com. Continue to help us spread the word and continue to share your input and participate in sharing and creating the future of parks, recreation, and community services here in Mountain View. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Bye-bye now.